So we've aligned it to different curricula and different textbooks. So it's very flexible and highly targeted towards the student and what they are studying. So first thing we do is we have to help kids ace the exams. वरना वो लेते नहीं, पढ़ते नहीं, schools नहीं लेते. पाकिस्तान में हमारा अभी तक हमारी जो families का mental model है, जैसे आपने बोला, engineer बन जाओ, doctor बन जाओ, lawyer बन जाओ. Help the students, give them confidence, direct them in the right way, work with remedial learning. आपको मालूम है कि जिसके पास पैसे हों, थोड़े बहुत भी, वो अपने, हालांकि बच्चे को गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में मुफ्त से पढ़ा सकते हैं, वो अपने हार्ड अर्न मनी लेके यूजफुल. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ यू लुक एट इंडिया, at one time they were having a lot of brain drain because all this talent was going overseas, but then through NRI schemes, also funding opened up, venture capital opened up, projects in India became more exciting. And now you have a very healthy balance in India. You've got a lot of people who are overseas, but you've also got a lot of people who are investing back, and then you've got a lot of people who move back as well.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to another episode of How Does It Work, a podcast by Pro Pakistani. आज हम एजुकेशन की बात करेंगे, and we have Mahboob Mahmood, the founder and CEO of Knowledge Platform, and Junaid Shafqat from Zong. हमारे भाई पहले भी आ चुके हैं. He is the head of comms and sustainability. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being on the podcast. So Mahboob, let's start with understanding a little bit about what Knowledge Platform is and does, ताकि थोड़ा सा context हमें मिल जाए.
Knowledge Platform, we started it about 20 years ago in Pakistan. उस टाइम पे हम edtech कर रहे थे for banks in Singapore, and Knowledge Platform was developing technology for us. So it was all outsourcing. Then about 8 years ago, we said, let's try to do something in Pakistan and make a difference to education. तो अभी जो हम कर रहे हैं, we have created a curriculum, grades 1 to 10. Math, science, English और अभी computer science पे काम कर रहे हैं. It's all digital. It's aligned with local and national curriculum. Then we have technology to deliver content, track how kids are doing, distribute reports, and so on. And then we support schools, including with the services Zong provides and other ways of supporting schools to help them in the journey from going to face-to-face to blended and digital learning.
और आपका जो करिकुलम है, हाउ डिफरेंट इज इट टू दी सॉर्ट ऑफ नेशनल या एचईसी का जो करिकुलम है, और इज इट एग्जैक्टली द सेम?
हम ऐसे करते हैं कि एक सब्जेक्ट को कोई 160 माइक्रो स्किल्स में डिवाइड कर देते हैं. फिर उसके बेसिस पे हम करिकुलम बनाते हैं विच इज़ अलाइंड विद टेक्स्ट बुक्स, विद प्रोविंशियल सब्जेक्ट्स, provincial curriculum and national curriculum. So because of this feature of digital, unlike a book आप create करते हैं एक बार तो बन गई, but digital you can keep changing. So we've aligned it to different curricula and different textbooks. So it's very flexible and highly targeted towards the student and what they are studying.
And it's not necessarily to do with जिस तरह metric, FSC और ये जो सारी चीज़ें होती, क्योंकि उसमें मतलब जो हमें सुनने को मिलता है अभी भी जी फ्लॉपी डिस्क पढ़ाई जा रही है, अभी भी आउटडेटेड कॉन्सेप्ट्स पढ़ाए जा रहे हैं, जो टेक्नोलॉजी कितनी इवॉल्व हो गई है, जॉब्स कितने इवॉल्व हो गए हैं. हाउ डू यू मेंटेन, मतलब आपने बच्चे को तैयार भी करना है ताकि वो ऑब्वियसली पाकिस्तान में मैट्रिक देगा, एफएससी देगा, यूनिवर्सिटी इधर ही जाएगा, तो वो पूरा एक सिस्टम क्रिएट करें, एंड ऑल्सो देन टीच हिम न्यूअर स्किल्स दैट आर एक्चुअली रिक्वायर्ड इन द मार्केट.
So this is a very good question and a very, very important question which we ask ourselves every day. So first thing we do is we have to help kids ace the exams. वरना वो लेते नहीं, पढ़ते नहीं, schools नहीं लेते, because everyone's focused on passing exams. So within exams, what we try to do is not only help them do the exam, but also learn more broadly. So for example, if they're learning math, and the question in math will be, what is 2 plus 2? We'll teach them that. But we'll also teach them the concept of addition. And we'll also teach them problem solving, like two boys are walking, they meet two girls, one kid leaves, and you don't tell them what you're adding or subtracting, they have to figure it out. So in other words, we teach them what did come on the exam and then broader. That's one aspect. The other is now through computer science, environmental literacy, financial literacy, we're trying to go beyond the curriculum to teach 21st century skills.
Or Junaid bhai, I'll bring you into this one. What is Zong's interest in this particular thing, and how does it sort of work with the bigger picture?
Sure. So मैंने कई दफ़े एक्सप्लेन किया कि हमारे पिलर्स CSR के और सस्टेनेबिलिटी कैसे अलाइंड हैं. One of the key pillars is digital innovation and social inclusion. Interestingly, this project offers us a bit of both, right? So एक तो we are going across the CPEC belt with knowledge platform and kind of transforming 60 government schools into these digital learning facilities जहाँ पर the top notch curriculum is being taught. As far as Zong is concerned, of course, हमारा जो CSR का एजेंडा है, sustainability का हमारा strategy है, that is completely aligned with what Knowledge Platform is currently doing. So it's going to be an interesting project, an interesting take on education for us as well, because जिस तरह महबूब साहब ने भी explain किया कि our curriculums need to be updated. They need to be, they cannot be a constant thing. जिस तरह floppy disk की आप बात कर रहे हैं, जिस तरह आप बात करें कि it is stuck somewhere in the past. So it has to move beyond that. And to do that, we need to, again, वो जो छपी हुई किताब जिसको आप modify नहीं कर सकते, we have to move towards the digital side. And Zong as a company takes a shout on let's get digital. It's completely aligned with that as well. It's completely aligned with the sustainability agenda. And then, because again, we are a Chinese company and we work across the CPEC belt, we provide connectivity across it, right? So these schools have been handpicked by Knowledge Platform and Zong across the entire CPEC belt. So you will see within some time transformation happening along this entire
Karachi
belt.
में है, ग्वादर में है और
Our Gwadar project that we have done in the past years also is one of the schools जहाँ पर हम digital solutions implement कर रहे हैं. But then there's a larger theme to it. The larger theme is that we want to kind of have some kind of a digital transformation done across
the Silk Road,
across the CPEC belt primarily, and to ensure that again as a telecom operator हम लोग digital services provide करते हैं. We provide the best kind of network to people. So this is kind of in line with our strategy as well, and then in line with our sustainability agenda of digital innovation and inclusion. So this kind of sets well with us.
और ये CPEC वाला जो बेल्ट है, why is it particularly because you see this or Zong sees this and China sees this as a very critical part of Pakistan's future, कि ये वाली जगह पे बहुत सारा हमारा business inroads होंगे, बहुत सारा शायद logistics, transportation, इस तरह की चीज़ें.
Of course, it's been 10 years since CPEC started. We are celebrating our 10th year this year, CPEC, right? So, and we do understand as a nation how important CPEC is for the country, for the economy, for the growth of this country, and the way it's being developed over the past few years, it's phenomenal, right? So it can bring massive benefits to the communities that are living on the belt itself, right? So if you provide them with the right tools, with the right education, with the right mindset, I think they will be able to contribute more significantly to this entire, idea of creating a difference in the lives of people. So, and that is the purpose that we do sustainability efforts for, to bring, a significant difference in the lives of people. And literacy, we believe, is the key to success. And if we have a literate audience across, a literate base across the CPEC belt, we believe that it's going to really help grow the economy of the country and contribute significantly when it comes to technology ho gayi ya wo health services ho gayi. Eventually these people are going to be part of the larger educational circles as well. Bilkul. And they can again transmit those skills. So we believe that this is going to play a very important role. Backbone hai hamari economy ki for us for a very long time, and we believe that in the future it's going to be massively impactful for us as well.
और आपने एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट सॉर्ट ऑफ अभी रेज किया था अबाउट दी जियो पोलिटिकल शिफ्ट्स जो यहाँ पे आ रहे हैं, यहाँ पे जो सॉर्ट ऑफ इनोवेशन आएगी, एंड दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ लीड्स मी टू अ क्वेश्चन विच इज़ दुनिया बहुत चेंज हो रही है टेक्नोलॉजी की वजह से प्राइमरीली, लेकिन ऑल्सो ऑब्वियसली बहुत सारे और फैक्टर्स होते हैं. जॉब्स एंड टाइप्स ऑफ जॉब्स भी चेंज होंगे, राइट? अगर हम एक आर वी एन एक्सपोर्ट बेस्ड कंट्री, आर वी एन इम्पोर्ट बेस्ड कंट्री, व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ जॉब्स आर वी डूइंग, व्हाट क्या हम आईटी में एक्चुअली घुस पाएंगे और $1 बिलियन कंपनीज बनाएंगे? इस सब में बहुत सारी जॉब्स एआई फॉर एग्जांपल ले लेगी. तो एक दुनिया चेंज हो रही है. अब वो पुराना ज़माना के यार बच्चे को इंजीनियर बनाना है, सिविल इंजीनियर बनाना है, मैकेनिकल, मतलब आपने सॉर्ट ऑफ 3 जॉब्स थी, डॉक्टर, लॉयर, इंजीनियर, दैट वर considered okay, and then everything else was waste of time. फिर बीच में सब CS करना शुरू हो गए क्योंकि that was the hot topic of the day. तो दुनिया बहुत चेंज हो रही है. अब एक बच्चा है 5 साल का और उसको आप sort of KP के थ्रू जो एजुकेशन प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, how can you possibly even foresee future में क्या होगा, right? AI हमने ChatGPT देखी और पूरी दुनिया हिल गई है, तो how can you even know कि यार ये आगे 10 साल में होगा क्या और पढ़ाना क्या चाहिए टू बी रेडी फॉर सच थिंग्स?
जी बिल्कुल. अगर आप वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की जो स्टडी है दैट व्हाट आर द जॉब्स एंड स्किल्स ऑफ द फ्यूचर, So there are things like data analytics, problem solving, creativity, innovation, very general and vague things,
बिल्कुल.
not accounting, law, civil engineering. So you have to prepare people for a very, very broad learning capability, and to learn how to collaborate, how to communicate, how to do critical thinking, ask questions, problem solving, solve problems, creativity, think of new ideas, innovation, implement those ideas. So how do you train people for this? It's difficult to do, first of all. And most curricula in the world are not ready for it, especially Pakistan. Ek to ye aspect hai. So we are working on that. The second aspect is the mental model of schools and especially of families. Because, for example, India mein abhi to, of course, computing and computer science has really taken off in a huge way. पाकिस्तान में हमारा अभी तक हमारी जो फैमिलीज का मेंटल मॉडल है, जैसे आपने बोला, इंजीनियर बन जाओ, डॉक्टर बन जाओ, लॉयर बन जाओ, और या सिविल सर्विस में चले जाओ, और
पॉलिटिक्स,
राइट. But so even now, our computing and computer science cohorts are very, very small, and schools are not equipped. And to some extent, it's a supply side problem, because to teach computer science, I went into a class once. They had 60 computers, and the 60 kids writing away. Computers were all shut. Teacher was giving lectures. So I said, "What are you teaching?" They said, "We're teaching how to use PowerPoint." अब आप PowerPoint कैसे सिखा सकते हैं without turning on the computer and using it? So often the teachers, the schools are not equipped, the families are not equipped. So I think we have to make a big push, and we're hoping with Zong that one of the things we'll be doing is really saying, let's look at the future. Let's look at what kind of jobs are getting created. ताकि वो शुरू से वो mental model जो बने, that we are coming into a new age, and it's not just about learning your math to pass an exam, but learning problem solving and so on.
आपने भी पॉइंट रेज किया कि आप एक क्लासरूम में गए, और ये पाकिस्तान में बहुत होता है. इनफैक्ट गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेज में आप जाएं तो टाइपराइटर पे काम चल रहा होता है, और साथ एक लैपटॉप पड़ा होता है, कंप्यूटर पड़ा हुआ है, पेपर पे लिख रहे हैं, टीचर्स नोट्स रिगर्जिटेट कर रहे हैं, तोते बना रहे हैं एसेंशियली, स्टूडेंट्स नहीं. अब उस दुनिया में आप बहुत अच्छी टेक्नोलॉजी ले हैं, आप लेट्स से एक बहुत अच्छा करिकुलम भी ले हैं, राइट. लेकिन अगर मतलब मिसाल के तौर पे दुनिया का सबसे अच्छा फुटबॉल कोच हो, वो मुझे कोच कर रहा हो या एक प्रोफेशनल फुटबॉलर कोच कर रहा हो, वो भी फ़र्क है, राइट. आई विल बी क्रैप ईदर वे. अब अगर टीचर पाकिस्तान में, अभी हम ये ऑफ एयर भी डिस्कस कर रहे थे, व्हाट डज इट टेक टू बी अ टीचर इन पाकिस्तान. प्राइवेट स्कूल्स में तो बिल्कुल ही कोई वो नहीं है रिक्वायरमेंट. बाहर मास्टर्स इन एजुकेशन मिनिमम होता है, मोस्टली PhDs होते हैं, दे हैव अ सर्टेन आइडिया ऑफ हाउ टू टीच. क्या होता है यहाँ पे, इंग्लिश टीचर इंग्लिश नहीं आती, बिजनेस की टीचर ने कभी बिजनेस नहीं की होती, एजुकेशन उनकी होती नहीं है. अब वो बंदा, आप उसको करिकुलम भी दे देंगे, आप उसको टेक्नोलॉजी भी दे देंगे, वो शायद 1000 बच्चों को भी पढ़ा दे, लेकिन वो रिजल्ट नहीं लेके आ पाएगा ना, बिकॉज ही इज नॉट ट्रेन्ड हिमसेल्फ टू बी एबल टू गेट दैट रिजल्ट. तो उसका क्या करें?
No, you're very right. I mean, we don't believe that you can bypass teachers. You need teachers, because if a teacher can really help a kid, give them confidence, direct them in the right direction. But what we are trying to do is, because we provide a full curriculum, what our philosophy is that if even a weak teacher uses our system, they can get better results for the kids. But if a strong teacher uses it, and we can help teachers become stronger by looking at data, that they know where the weaknesses are of kids, they themselves do education themselves. So this is a big transformation that needs to take place. And I would say that the bigger challenge is at the school. We always find bigger challenges at the school leadership level, and especially at the teachers level, willingness to adopt and change. At the kids level, using digital technology, watching videos, playing games, doing online assessments, they take to it because they're kind of digital natives. So the challenge we have is that at the curriculum level, our curriculum has not caught up, although some very interesting, exciting computer science curriculum has been released by National Curriculum Council, and we are working on creating a very exciting computer science program. But the curriculum has not caught up, and the teachers have not caught up. So in some respects, we want to strengthen the role of the teacher, but also let them use data and technology, so even a weaker teacher can perform better.
एंड टीचर्स की आपने बात की, स्पेसिफिकली वीकर टीचर्स की बात की. एक और इशू जो पाकिस्तान में एट एवरी लेवल हो रहा है, अगर एक डॉक्टर है तो डॉक्टर टू पेशेंट रेशो इज़ द प्रॉब्लम. a lot of the times मसला if I'm defending the teachers is also let's say there is a good teacher लेकिन उसके क्लास में 100 बच्चे हैं 70 बच्चे हैं अब वो किसको पर्सनल अटेंशन देगी वो तो बस एक एंड में फिर यही होता है कि आप ऐसा करो यू नो एक स्पीच दे दो उन्हें जो आपने रटी हुई है ताकि वो भी रट लें एटलीस्ट पास हो जाएं अब अपने बच्चों को पास भी करना है टीचर के ऊपर भी एक सॉर्ट ऑफ प्रेशर है ना ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट technology can help with that, but it also can ruin that in a way. Na? Ab you could teach 500 kids on one call if you wanted to. So how do you bring that balance of personal attention जो बच्चे को चाहिए होती है?
It's a really great question. This is where teachers really come in. You know, that if the teachers can help the students, give them confidence, direct them in the right way, work with remedial learning. So the new model of teaching is that the teacher looks at data, uses technology, and helps the kids go in the direction in which they want. So actually, they don't have to be a source of knowledge. They have to be a source of understanding how kids learn and then help make that happen. So inshallah, as we go further in this technology revolution, in some respects, the work of teachers will change, but their knowledge load may come down. They'll get more data. They can be assisted more. For example, now Khan Academy in the US is working on digital teacher assistants. So imagine that a teacher has about 6 digital assistants saying that maybe you could teach this group this and this group that. And then the students have digital assistants too. So we're moving into a very, very exciting age in education. So this time of, bringing EdTech in, especially with all the innovations that are happening, are really critical because I think we can strengthen teachers, we can help teachers, and we can help students directly insofar as teachers are not strong enough to do so. So I do think we can transform education in Pakistan, but it requires a very strong commitment to do this. The other interesting thing, like for example, we started working in China. And this is where the Zong partnership becomes very important. When we went into China, this was about 8-10 years ago, every classroom, every government school, we worked mostly in large cities, so I can't speak in remote rural areas, but every government school in every class had a projector, a laptop. They were fully equipped. Internet was strong, right? You kids went at home, all the kids, these were in government schools, all the kids had some kind of device at home and internet connectivity. So then when we came in and others came in with software, content and teacher support, we found that the infrastructure and environment was there already. But now you come into Pakistan, it's the reverse. Our solution is in advance of the infrastructure, the hardware, the connectivity,
even the
and
skills,
all of
right?
those things. And the skills and the ability to do that. So this is where the partnership becomes very important because we have now software and content has preceded what is now needed to catch up is the infrastructure.
और आपने बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट रेज किया जो मैं आपसे डिस्कस करना चाह रहा हूँ. अब इट्स अ स्ट्रेंज सॉर्ट ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, राइट? आपके पास आप कह लें दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा ड्रग है ना, तो इट्स द इंटरनेट राइट नाउ. एवरीबडी नीड्स इट. अभी 9th मई जो हुआ था, तो जब इंटरनेट बंद किया था ना, दैट्स व्हेन एवरीबडी पैनिक्ड. ओ जी ये क्या हो गया, राइट? इंटरनेट इज़ द ड्रग. एंड अब उसमें यही वाली बात आ जाती है ना कि हमारे स्कूल्स नहीं अडेप्ट कर पाए, हमारी बाकी सारी चीज़ें नहीं अडेप्ट कहीं, लेकिन लोगों ने अडेप्ट कर लिया. आप जाएं कहीं भी बाहर कहीं फिरें, कोई मरकज.
The penetration is amazing in Pakistan.
Not just that, but everybody is TikToking, everybody is using every other social platform other than education. अब Zong ऐसी पार्टनरशिप्स तो कर रही है, but how does it, आपके पास वही मैंने कहा ना, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इन अ वे कि आपके पास कनेक्टिविटी का वो चाबी है. हाउ डू यू गेट देम टू spend less time on, I don't know, TikToks of women dancing and more time on learning something? Because ये एक बड़ा मुश्किल डायनामिक है. You want, obviously, as a business के maximum usage हो ना, जितना
naturally,
right?
But then we are a responsible organization.
Exactly, and there has to be some sort of a responsibility कि यार मैं इस टाइम जिसमें वो बच्चा 8 घंटे फ़ोन यूज़ कर रहा है, उसको मैं किस तरह रीडायरेक्ट करूँ away from fahash, stupid content to where he might actually learn something, critical thinking ability hai. And how does Zong use its power to do that?
See, it's about creating awareness about technology as well. I mean, and this cannot be an effort that Zong kind of takes on alone.
Of course.
It has to be a concerted effort with the regulator like PTA involved, the ministry involved. Then you've got your partners like Knowledge Platform, and हमारा सेहत कहानी के साथ partnership थी या पेज के साथ थी, वो सब इंटरनेट को यूज़ कर रहे हैं. सेहत कहानी अपनी ऐप के लिए यूज़ कर रहा है, गिविंग ई-कंसल्टेशंस. नॉलेज प्लेटफॉर्म इंटरनेट को यूज़ कर रहा है टू गिव एजुकेशन टू पीपल. सो आई मीन these partners are out there. Then we have got our regulators there. Then we have got our telecoms there. Then we have got media out there as well, which is helping us, create awareness about these things. And then we have got, mashallah, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान में while you say that there are a lot of people who are just using TikTok for the heck of it, then there are a lot of influencers, and the likes of Pro Pakistani, for example, is out there, or the likes of Junaid, who's talking about various financial ventures that you can begin or start or do. Or so these influencers are kind of and again our connectivity is making inroads into that, and we kind of work very closely with not just the influencers, the media, the regulators, the partners. So it's a concerted effort. It's like all of us are involved in making sure that technology is being used responsibly. It is being used to further the cause of the country. And again, जब आप एक काफ़ी बड़ा हमारा मोटो है, tagline है, let's get digital की. So when you talk about let's get digital, it's an all-encompassing kind of a thing. It's just not about people using TikToks or using YouTubes for watching random movies. It's about using it to learn and educate themselves.
To make money online.
Make money online.
Bilkul,
absolutely. And that is where we kind of come in and we try to play the role of a catalyst, essentially. And then again, and you guys are also doing the exact same thing with us in ensuring that there's a responsible use of technology. The kids are aware that technology can be used for good purpose, and which is why we kind of strike these interesting partnerships as well to showcase the best test cases or the best use cases of technology that there can be. And Knowledge Platform, for example, for us, it's a very exciting project because it kind of demonstrates how, if used rightly, technology can potentially uplift an entire community, right? So these are the partnerships are of course important, and then working with media, working with the regulators, working with the ministry, all of this combined together, I think we are trying to play a role. And of course there's a lot of responsibility, so nobody can be perfect at it, but we are trying our best, and of course we'll keep on ensuring that it's used for the right purpose.
आपने अभी बात की स्टेक होल्डर्स की और रेगुलेटर्स की, and let's like ask you this one, talk about the not the elephant in the room, लेकिन the sort of an issue is कि जो भी हो जाए, हमारी गवर्नमेंट, हमारे जो इदारे हैं, हैव टू प्ले क्रिटिकल रोल. आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि हमारे पास माशाल्लाह पॉपुलेशन भी बहुत बड़ी है, तो यू वांट टू गेट इट डन, या आप पूरा प्राइवेटाइज कर दो, जो इम्पॉसिबल है. तो दैट मीन्स कि पब्लिक सेक्टर विल बी व्हाट 90% of education. I don't know the exact figures, लेकिन I'm sure it's high.
So Pakistan has about 70-75 million children of school going age.
ठीक है.
Mashallah, we are adding 5 million every year to that
उस चीज़ में हम अच्छे हैं.
जी, we are very good in that. So उसमें से we have 22 million kids who don't go to school, even though it's constitutional obligation of government to put. That's the highest number of kids out of school in the world. We were second highest, but Nigeria, which was highest, has now done better. So we have become the highest number of out of school. So 1/3 of the school population not in school. The other is about 45% is now in the private sector.
अच्छा.
And private sector is growing so fast that within 4-5 years it will be bigger than government sector.
Shouldn't the private sector also be regulated by the government? मतलब मिसाल के तौर पे अगर मैं एक स्कूल खोल दूँ,
हाँ जी,
और बस कुछ भी कर रहा हूँ, how do you, I can charge less fees, more fees, whatever I'm doing, how do you sort of ensure quality of education? And also आपने अभी बात की जिस तरह इतने बच्चे हैं out of school, that is the government's responsibility, right? From what I know, जब पहला IMF का लोन मिसाल के तौर पे इंडिया को मिला था, they used it for education. I think it was Nehru, who was it first, जो IIT जो भी उनके
नेहरू ने शुरू किया था, IITs.
So they have always first gone and fixed the crux of the problem. हमारे केस में हमने पता नहीं XYZ amount of loans ले चुके हैं over the years. हमने जो पहली दफ़ा IMF का लोन लिया था, तो हमने क्या खरीदे थे? Bombs. And that shows where we are and where they are. बहुत क्रिटिकल रोल है उनका, बट उनको क्या प्रेशर डाला जाना चाहिए? हाउ डू यू गेट इन द गवर्नमेंट टू essentially do its job?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think that the government now, you see what's happening is 45% is already outside
the government. बिल्कुल.
And anyone, आपको मालूम है कि जिसके पास पैसे हों थोड़े बहुत भी, वो अपने, हालांकि बच्चे को गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में मुफ्त से पढ़ा सकते हैं, वो अपने हार्ड अर्न मनी लेके प्राइवेट सेक्टर स्कूल में डाल दें. एंड दिस इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ क्वालिटी एंड रेगुलेशन वगैरह. Because there is such a demand for education in this country, people are willing to pay for education even if they're going hungry.
Yeah.
You know, so the government, I think, is spending all this money on delivering education, and I think actually is not doing a very good job. And if government probably should get out of over time the delivery of education and leave that to the private sector, both with education technology and with private sector schools and combinations of these two. And the government should play more of a role of funding education, of looking at the curricula, continuously revising it, regulating schools. But the imprint of government on education delivery, I think, should go down because we are not spending money well. The other thing is the overall budget. We are spending about 3% in education. Singapore spends about 5.5%, even though they're number one in PISA. So we've been trying to go to 4%, but we can't get there.
लेकिन अगर हम अच्छा खर्च नहीं कर रहे तो why spend more? मेरा सवाल एक्चुअली इसमें ये है कि
अब प्राइवेट सेक्टर को वाउचर्स दे दो, प्राइवेट सेक्टर को करने दो, प्राइवेटाइज कर दो एजुकेशन को.
इज देयर अ मॉडल दुनिया में कहीं जहाँ एजुकेशन कम्प्लीटली प्राइवेटाइज्ड है और वो मुल्क एक्चुअली काफ़ी अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रहा है?
जी, it's a good question. In many countries now, there's a debate going on, how much to privatize and so on. Like, for example, in the United States, they started charter schools. Generally, those schools do tend to perform better than government schools. So the question of quality in the private sector is generally established that private sector can do it well. But large-scale privatization is still something that, is being debated around the world.
और इसमें फिर एक और सॉर्ट ऑफ कॉन्वर्सेशन ऐसी भी आ जाती है कि एक तो आपकी ग्रास रूट एजुकेशन है, फिर आपकी हायर एजुकेशन है, फिर अ लॉट ऑफ पाकिस्तानीज टेक दैट एजुकेशन. मिसाल के तौर पे जो हमारे पास चंद अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, लम्स फॉर एग्जांपल हैं, आप देखेंगे वो जो ठप्पा है लम्स, GIK एक्सेट्रा, वो यहाँ ऑब्वियसली आपके माशाल्लाह टेलकोस में होते हैं, जो आपके 4-5 बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैं उधर होते हैं, या वो बाहर होते हैं, इस मुल्क पे नहीं होते. उसमें फिर इशू ये आ जाता है कि जिस चीज़ को कहते हैं ब्रेन ड्रेन. आई वांटेड टू सॉर्ट ऑफ गेट योर ओपिनियन ऑन इट. डू यू थिंक दैट्स नेसेसरली अ बैड थिंग? Is it a good thing in some way? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, in some respects, you can say that as our education system becomes more efficient, we are creating people who can get jobs more easily overseas. And so in some respects, you increase education, you will lose more people. But there are two issues to this. It can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how we treat it.
Okay.
One is, we need to create roads for that talent to come back, for those people to invest, not just send money to home, but actually put their talent back in the country. Recently, I've become friendly with a man called Naveed Shirwani, who's like one of the top chip designer. He runs a huge chip design company in California.
Okay.
And he's been talking to the government that let's do chip design. You starting salary is $150,000 a year. He said, I can create a chip design industry, but I need the universities to help me and so on, So he goes and meets prime ministers. They say, yeah, you're a great guy. They give him lots of tikkas with guys, serving him in pagdis and all that. And they say, hum karenge, magar hota kuch nahi hai, So creating inroads for people to come back, do things here at a small level, big level, invest in the thing. If you can create that loop, and also make it useful. For example, if you look at India, at one time they were having a lot of brain drain because, all this talent was going overseas. But then through NRI schemes, also funding opened up, venture capital opened up, projects in India became more exciting. And now you have a very healthy balance in India. You've got a lot of people who are overseas, but you've also got a lot of people who are investing back, and then you've got a lot of people who move back as well. So it can be a good thing or a bad thing. I think we have to create this healthy ecosystem.
मेरा तो इसमें ओपिनियन ये है कि आई थिंक इट नीड्स टू हैपन. मतलब मैं किसी से आर्ग्यू कर रहा था विद द वे we're expanding our population एंड यहाँ पे देखें there's X amount of jobs available, there's X amount of money to be made. That will take a certain amount of time. अगर आप चाइना देखें, they first exported a lot of Chinese people across the world.
जी.
Then aista they built up their home economy, and then a lot of them came back. India is the same. A lot of countries are following that same model. Indonesia, for example, Philippines. अब ये आहिस्ता आपको नजर आ रहा है now, those markets are picking up. Bangladesh.
हाँ जी.
हमें पहले वो वाला सेटअप तो करना है, लेकिन जो मुझे बात समझ नहीं आ रही है, या what I'm trying to understand here is, let's say how long have you guys been operational in Pakistan?
About 8 years.
8 years. 8 साल में आपको कितना पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट नजर आया है, if any? Are we going in the right direction as a country holistically?
Let me not speak about the country as a whole.
No,
but
as education in the country.
Education में I think generally private sector is doing quite well. Government has been trying more, but maybe if they were to work more closely with private sector and understand what is driving the private sector and support that more closely, that would be better. Some curricular changes are taking place which are very good. So, for example, this new computer science program, it could revolutionize education, but we need a lot of media, we need a lot of awareness, we need to make people understand that the kinds of jobs that are available, the kinds of skills that are available are not necessarily civil engineers, So I think we have to change our education system. It is changing, but it needs to change much, much faster. And then, of course, there's an infrastructure challenge. Also, schools don't have computers and computing equipment. Phones are expensive. So, we have to address this both at a policy level, tax level, customs level, infrastructure level, universal service fund for remote areas, and so on. So there's a lot to be done. But I do feel that there is a positive direction in education. We are seeing every single month more and more schools are signing up with us. And 2-3 years before COVID, the question was, iska kya fayda hai? Now we don't get that question anymore. They may ask the question, ye kaise karen, kya karen, kitne paise kharch karen, kab karen. So there are questions, but these are questions of how quickly they get onto that bandwagon and how, rather than whether they get onto it. So ye change ho gaya hai.
And COVID sort of helped that digital revolution go a little bit faster than, and in a way, well, that's not a bad thing for us, because हमें चाहिए था वो धक्का शायद.
बिल्कुल.
जहाँ तक with Zong and this digital revolution, आप लोगों के आप लाते रहते हैं, हमने different partners से हमारी बड़ी insightful conversations भी हो रही हैं. How do you pick कि यार this is the right company that fits our brand, and is it sort of like you reach out to them and then you have a series of conversations? Can you walk me through the process of how Zong picks partners?
Sure. It's an interesting process, of course, and it's driven from the key strategy and 3 pillars that we have for our sustainability strategy. So we're looking for a partner that's always digital, for one, because that's our key thing, right? So let's get a digital company. So that's our key motivation when you're looking for a partner. That it has to be a partner that has got a digital leg to it, for one. Secondly, the impact that they create with little amount of money should be bigger, right? So while we invest money, of course, but the ROI should be bigger in terms of the impact on the communities. So whichever partner is giving us that kind of an impact with a lesser amount of investment, and Knowledge Platform is doing that the dollar value that you put in for every impact that you're getting is lesser as compared to other projects. So that's very important for us, the ROI that we kind of get. Thirdly, of course, how widespread the project is going to be. So for example, this Knowledge Platform partnership, Gwadar to Kunjrab, all the way up, sab jagahon pe aapko nazar aayega iska impact. So we look for partners that have got a widespread kind of a footprint and they can implement it. Fourthly, most importantly, वो चीज़ें हम करने की कोशिश करते हैं जिससे कम्युनिटी को एक्चुअल रियल टाइम इम्पैक्ट नजर आ रहा हो. सो जिस तरह मैं सेहत कहानी लेके आया था आपके पास लास्ट टाइम, तो why were we working with सेहत कहानी? Of course, because they're pervasive. It's an app. Anybody from any region, चाहे remote है, चाहे वो city based है, चाहे वो urban population है, rural है, कोई भी है, उन सब के लिए accessible है. So that's the kind of impact that we look for. Or health is an emergency in Pakistan.
बिल्कुल.
Education, an emergency, urgent situation in Pakistan. So we look for those critical areas जो कि actually emergency है, जहाँ पर कुछ भी करने से जो impact नजर आएगा आपको वो pretty मैसिव होगा क्योंकि उसमें the problem is so huge, the crisis is so huge that you have to kind of अगर आप उस पर थोड़ा भी काम करते हो तो उसका इम्पैक्ट आपको नजर आना शुरू हो जाता है डेफिनेटली. सो एजुकेशन जिस तरह महबूब साहब बता रहे हैं 22 मिलियन बच्चे बाहर होना स्कूल से इन अ कंट्री लाइक पाकिस्तान जहाँ ब्रेन ड्रेन भी हो रहा है. और ब्रेन ड्रेन जो आप अभी डिस्कस करते थे बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट था आपका. आई वुड लाइक टू ऐड के आप ब्रेन ड्रेन होता है और अच्छा भी होता है, बट देन यू शुड हैव इनफ पॉपुलेस हियर टू सपोर्ट द रनिंग ऑफ अ कंट्री.
बिल्कुल.
सो as long as that supply chain is kind of managed, as long as the supply and demand is being met, it's always going to be a good thing. So हमारे लिए ये बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट था नॉलेज प्लेटफॉर्म से काम करने का भी कि जी एजुकेशन है, they're working in the right areas, they're working with the right partners, and then we also look for partners जो कि government के साथ भी directly काम कर रहे हैं. So knowledge platform is working with the Federal Directorate of Education, they're working with the provincial governments for education, so they have those inroads as well, so they can assist us on the grounds level, and then grounds up हम उस partnership को build up करते हैं. So I think these are some of the factors that we kind of look for, and they kind of help us they brought us in the right direction, to be honest.
बिल्कुल.
Yeah.
अच्छा, इसमें मेरा सवाल ये है कि let's say someone is watching the podcast and they have a business. One, how can they reach out to you or to that particular department that can help them in Zong? और दूसरा ये है कि let's say कि where do they have to be? So ये तो माशाल्लाह larger organization है शायद कहानी पर कहते भी मतलब शायद उनका impact बड़ा हो लेकिन वो खुद अभी छोटे हों, pre-revenue हों या as in just so if someone is interested in sort of partnering with Zong, how can they do it and what are the minimum requirements to be
We are pretty open with that, to be honest. They should be registered, of course. They should be working. They should be registered with the SECP. They should have a working NT, and they should have all those
basics.
The basics covered. As long as the basics are covered, they shouldn't have any political affiliation or religious affiliation or any kind of inclination towards any bias like that. As long as those basic parameters are met, anybody can reach out to us. It's wecare@zong.com.pk. They can send us their proposals. We have got a CSR section, a sustainability section on our main website as well. People can go there, and there's a form there that they can fill in with the proposal, with the project that they have in mind, and they can reach out to the team, and the team always gets back. I am pretty public as well. People can always reach out to me or my team. We are always available, so they can send in their proposals, and we look at each and every proposal on merit. It's not how big or small you are. So we have worked with the smallest of companies in the country over the past 15 years, and we have worked with the likes of Knowledge Platform or Sehat Kahani or Punjab Skills Development Fund. In fact, that was an interesting project where we trained 10,000 students on how to e-learn, right? So it
varies.
It varies, right? So we have worked with एक SOS village में जाके भी हमने education impart की हुई है, which is probably a crowd of 300-500 people, and then the likes of सेहत कहानी जहाँ 12,000 बच्चे या PSDF जहाँ 10,000 बच्चों को आप education दे रहे हो. So we look at projects on merit. It has to be impactful though. It has to create an actual impact in the community, uplift it somehow. It has to, again, हमारे जो 3 pillars हैं sustainability के, उनके साथ उसको aligned होना चाहिए. As long as वो aligned है, ये नहीं है कि आप छोटी company हो तो हम शायद आपसे बात नहीं करेंगे, बल्कि we might actually help you grow as well. Even that is a CSR.
Of course.
That you're helping through, because Zong is a huge telecom operator, 47 million customers. If we are working with a smaller company, even that company in our shadow becomes,
of course.
It performs better.
It's in the sort of network.
हम catalyst बन जाते हैं उनकी growth के लिए,
बिल्कुल.
right? So we welcome such opportunities जहाँ पर even if a small company comes up, हमने in fact अपनी CSR की इस दफ़ा जो books बनवाई, जो reports बनती हैं हमारी, उसके लिए sleeves बनाए हमने, which were made by the women of a women empowerment center जो कि पाकिस्तान बैतुल माल रन कर रहा है, और वो embroidered sleeves थी. अब उन खवातीन ने जो स्किल सीखा था उसी स्किल को उन्होंने यूज करके वो बनाया, and it became a CSR project, right? So it's a very small project, but वही कह रहा हूँ कि
all
the entire spectrum
inclusive है, which is very good,
and that's the point of it. Social inclusion क्योंकि हमारा पिलर भी है इस तरह से, तो we want के कोई अगर छोटे entrepreneur जो कि registered हैं, they have all those basics met, if they come to us and we can help them grow and become a bigger partner in sustainability for us or other companies, वो बड़ा अच्छा होता है. और इनफैक्ट ये स्लीव्स का हमने जब किया तो उसके बाद Pakistan Baitul Mal started getting more orders for them from other corporates. So kind of a catalyst, right? So
Makes
this
sense.
is what any company as big as Zong would love to do.
सर इनने अभी sort of एक और टॉपिक sort of छेड़ दिए तो I want to talk to you about you talked about women and women empowerment, and this is also a very important discussion point कि the role of education in civil sort of society, in moral society भी होता है ना. There is a impact जहाँ मैं आपसे आर्ग्यू ये भी करने के लिए तैयार हूँ कि there are certain cultural issues we have in this country that backdate this country's existence, जो हमारी norms हैं etc. that can be revolutionized with education. Is that role being seen currently from where you are, and how important is that role? मतलब मिसाल अगर आपको दूँ तो अभी वो इंडियन स्पेस स्टेशन वाला जो पूरा एपिसोड हुआ है उसमें औरतें बैठी हुई हैं साड़ियों में. You know, it's a beautiful thing to see, right? And also I like कि वो साड़ियाँ पहनी हुई है ना. यहाँ पे तो हम कहेंगे कि you know पैंट जीन पहनो और मतलब हमारा मसले बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज़ हैं. And education makes you proud of your culture, education makes you proud of your women, etc. etc. There's a big evolution that happens. वो एवोल्यूशन पे हमें कोई फ़र्क नज़र आ रहा है? क्योंकि इसमें एक और भी फैक्टर आ जाता है ना कि हम फॉर एग्जांपल एजुकेटेड को किस चीज़ को मानते हैं, किस चीज़ को नहीं मानते. और फिर हम आपने बात की है माइक्रो सॉर्ट ऑफ सब्जेक्ट मैटर्स का. सब्जेक्ट मैटर्स में बहुत बड़ा एक हिस्सा ये भी होना चाहिए नो. देयर इज़ अ मॉरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दैट एवरी चाइल्ड हैज़ दैट ही नीड्स टू ग्रो अप विद, ताकि वो फिर बड़ा होकर एक अच्छा इंसान बने और एटलीस्ट कुछ हद तक.
जी, couple of things on this. One is, you know, जब हमने शुरू किया था हमारा कोई gender bias नहीं था, whether helping girls, boys or whatever. We just wanted to provide good education. But what we found is EdTech accelerates the growth and role of women as learners and as teachers. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're already more conscientious. You know, anyway, आप देखते हैं पाकिस्तान में जो results हैं mostly women.
100%.
So maybe that's translating over. Maybe it's because when you're using technology, you know, each person can be tracked. Even if you have a quiet voice, if you're not speaking out in class, you can do it. Maybe it requires more diligence. But we have already been seeing that women teachers, women principal, and women students benefit a lot more from tech than men. So I think this can become a force for changing the dynamics of men and women in Pakistan. For example, right now we are working with Planning Commission and others to come up with a virtual school for girls in Balochistan. You know, at the highest, at middle and secondary school level, only about 10% of the girls go to school. So in many cases, the problem is not even money or willingness to go. It is a matter of supply side. The supply side, there's no schools, there's no good teachers, the distances are too great. So hopefully we can work with Zong to solve some of those distance problems. But, you know, this is a sector where we can start virtual school for girls in Pakistan. So we're super excited about things like this. And I think one is that the role of women is changing through education technology, and this will accelerate. The other thing is we have started bringing in a lot of social and ethical dimensions into education. For example, we're doing a financial literacy program with the State Bank of Pakistan. And in there we are putting questions that this girl, she's selling fruit to a fruit seller. She has a contract, you know, so again, women's empowerment. And she gets somebody else approach and say, I'll buy the fruit for more. So should she just sell it and not let the kids debate it, you know? कि इसमें क्या फ़ायदा है, पैसे बनाने हैं तो फिर, you know, जो सबसे ज़्यादा पैसे दे रहे हैं, but there's a contract, there's an over relationship, आपका business reputation क्या होगा, and so on. So we are using technology and storytelling to actually create issues that kids can discuss themselves and come to the right answer, of course with some help from teachers and our system.
नहीं, हमने बड़ा अच्छा actually point raise किया, because just inserting, you know, women into that sort of just framing the argument around them. For example, if you talk of a woman as an entrepreneur, you allow that concept, you know, there are some fantastic, you know, that work that's being done on, like Disney, for example, shaped a generation once, it's shaping a generation again. Right or wrong है उनके models, वो एक अलग बात है, लेकिन their ability to subtly get you to accept certain things is masterful. खैर ये conversation तो चलती रहेगी तो I won't take up much more of your time. I just have one last question, and if you can just explain this to me. मैं पढ़ रहा था कि आप what's it called, Sidley in Austin, yes, you were a lawyer at
जी.
Sidley in Austin.
जी.
Why are you in education? What happened? Where did we go from being a lawyer and a partner in a legal firm to I want to educate kids in क्या था कौन सा था ग्वादर कराची एंड पीर चिनासी
जी. So I grew up in Pakistan. My father was in the army, so I went to 15 different schools. Then I got a scholarship. I went to overseas. I became a partner in a law firm in New York. So I was doing Wall Street mergers and acquisitions. I did about $15 billion of transactions. So then I said, let me do something in Asia. My parents were also getting older, so I convinced my firm. We were very big in the US, but I convinced to open up in Singapore, then Hong Kong, Shanghai, Tokyo. But I was also, professional. My whole life, okay, now you be a lawyer. And then I, started reading up about the internet and said, maybe I can do something as well. So I quit my law practice, which I loved doing and I was pretty good at. And I said, let me go into some learning. I loved learning because was kind of always divided between law and academics. So I said, let me do something. I set up Knowledge Platform over 22 years ago. And I said, I'll do something with content because I knew nothing about technology. So when e-learning first took off in Asia, the first thing that took off was compliance for banks and pharmaceutical companies, anti-money laundering courses and things like that. So we developed about 1,800 courses in about 30 languages, headquartered in Singapore, and we set up an office in Pakistan to develop the technology. तो वो चलता रहा. Then we got an offer from Thomson Reuters to buy that business. At the same time, I was teaching social entrepreneurship at INSEAD, which is how do you develop a business with a social mission. And I'd also developed another business on information technology research, market research. So we track clients like Google and so on. So I said, I'm teaching about how to set up a business with a social mission, but everything I'm doing in my life and all the money I've made has been only by serving big companies, right? Whether it was as a lawyer or whether it was e-learning or whether it was market research, And I said, let me try to do something with a social impact. I should try to think about this. At that time, my father was going through ill health and he passed away, and he had sent me a postcard at age 7. He had gone from Pakistan Army to Sorbonne to France to study French. Why Pakistan Army needed French-speaking soldiers, I don't know. But anyway, he sent me a postcard saying, may you always be of service to Pakistan. So I said, I've never fulfilled that. So let me try to do something with a social impact as well. So that kind of brought me back to Pakistan, and it's been a very tough and also enormously rewarding journey. I think when I see people like Junaid Saab, yourself, a lot of people are trying to make a difference. So I'm extremely positive about what's happening in Pakistan, even though there are a lot of negativities. But I think if we can all work together, then inshallah we'll create a better Pakistan.
Inshallah. No, and it's really heartwarming to hear your story and the stuff that you guys are both doing. Thank you guys for being on the podcast. This was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. If you do enjoy our content, please do subscribe to our channel, and we will see you for the next podcast.